Hello, Year 9. We are going to go ahead and look at two questions today. One question is, how do I multiply fractions? The other question will be, how do I divide fractions? And that will be our next slide. Go ahead and set up your paper. Let's put today's date in the corner and label your notes as multiplying and dividing fractions, which is section 1F. Again, all of my questions will be on the left, and we'll put all the information we need on the right. So first things first, we have two steps, really, in multiplying fractions. One is always make sure that all fractions are improper or proper, but they cannot be mixed. So as soon as you have a question that has a mixed number, we need to change it to improper or proper. So for example, if you're given 2 1/4 in your question, we have to remember that we need to multiply the 4 times 2 to figure out how many fourths we really have, and then we add on that one extra fourth that's our numerator. So 4 times 2 is 8, 8 plus 1, so that is equivalent to 9 fourths. Okay, so we want to change any mixed numbers that you're given in questions to improper or proper fractions, depending on what you're looking at. So you might be given a proper fraction, but if you're given a mixed number, you'll change it to an improper fraction. Second is when you multiply, we always multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. So we never flip-flop. Always numerator to numerator and denominator to denominator. All right, and then of course at the end we always want to simplify our answer, or sometimes you'll hear that as reduce. So you always want to check if you have a common factor that we can simplify, and that's about it. There are a couple questions that sometimes you'll see multiplication as the word of. So when you see the word of in math, that really just means to multiply. Okay, so let's try an example. We have 9/10 of 200. So again, I know of means to multiply. When I look at the number 200, I'm multiplying a fraction by a whole number. And that whole number of 200, I can turn it into a fraction by putting it over 1. I can do that with any integer. I can always put it over 1 and make it into a fraction. So now, let me check my step 1. Do I have all fractions as improper or proper? Okay, so 9/10 is proper, 200 over 1 is improper. So yes, they are both in those forms. I do not have any mixed numbers. So now I can just multiply numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So 9 times 200, I get 1800, and 10 times 1, I get 10. So last step, can I reduce or simplify my answer? And what I notice here is that I have a common factor of 10. So I can actually go ahead and reduce by 10. So now I have 180 divided by 1, which is just 180. All right? If I'm going to do this in my calculator, I'm going to use the button that looks like two boxes with a line between them. That's my fraction button. So I can actually push that fraction button and put in 9/10, and then I can multiply, and I can just put in 200 actually. You don't have to even put in a fraction. But if you are going to put in a fraction, you can hit the fraction button again and put in your 200 over 1. So please check, because you should be getting the same answer with your calculator as you're getting by hand. For number 2, go ahead and pause, try to do number 2 and 3 on your own, and then push play and see how you did. So for this one, I have a proper fraction, 3/5, multiplied by another proper fraction, 1/4. I don't have to change any of them, so they're actually just ready to multiply. Let me bring this down a bit. So now I'm ready to multiply numerator by numerator. So 3 by 1 is 3. Denominator by denominator, 5 times 4 is 20. And I do want to check at the end if I can reduce, but 3 and 20 do not have any common factors, so I've reduced as much as I can. For number 3, notice 4.5 is a mixed number. So because it is a mixed number, I need to change it to an improper number. So let's go ahead and change this to an improper number. So 2 by 4, and then I'm going to add my 1. So that's actually 8 9/2, and I'm multiplying that by 8. Now I don't have any more mixed numbers, so I can multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. So I will get 72 divided by 18. Okay? Now, at this point, if you guys are doing this with your calculator, what I would want you to check is how you're putting this in your calculator. So if you want to put 4 1/2 in your calculator, you'll have to push 4 and then the fraction button and put in the 1/2. And then multiply, push your fraction button again, and put in 8/9. All right, so let's see if we actually get down to the same answer. So 72 and 18, I might notice that those are both even numbers. So if they're both even numbers, I can always reduce by 2. So if I don't know anything else, I can always try to divide by 2 if they're both even numbers. And I know they're even because 72 ends in a 2 and 18 ends in an 8. So I can write an equivalent fraction. Half of 72 is 36. Half of 18 is 9. Once I've reduced to 36 divided by 9, I might notice that 9 is, 36 is a multiple for 9. So 9 times 4 makes 36. So that means 36 divided by 9 is also equivalent to 4. All right? So that might be one way that I would think through this question if I weren't using my calculator. So go ahead and pause here. You might even want to try these 3 on your own without my support and then check and see if you've got them correct. Our second question is, how do I divide fractions? So the question is division now instead of multiplication. We have 3 steps, very similar to multiplying. However, we have one additional step. So first, we have to make sure that all of our fractions are improper or proper. So that is actually the same step when we multiply as well. However, secondly, what is going on with division is that what we're saying is we have 3/4, and we're trying to divide it into 9/16. So notice we're trying to divide up into 16 little pieces, and we actually right now only have 4 little pieces. So in order to figure out how many little 16s we actually have, we have to multiply by something called the reciprocal. And the reciprocal is when you switch your numerator and your denominator. So if you start with a number in your numerator and a number in your denominator, the reciprocal winds up putting your denominator in the numerator and your numerator in the denominator. So it does a little switcheroo. So that is our extra step 2. We're going to write the reciprocal of the second fraction and change the division to multiplication so that we can actually look at the little pieces that we're actually trying to find. So for example, number 4, if I started with 3/4, what I want to look at is, since they're both proper, I don't have to worry about switching from a mixed number to a proper fraction. I'm going to change my division to multiplication, and I'm going to write down the reciprocal of this second fraction. So that means I'm going to write down 16 divided by 9. Okay? Now it is exactly like multiplication. So now I can multiply my numerator by numerator and my denominator by denominator. Again, always double check and see if you can actually reduce. So I've noticed once more that this is an even number, so I can always divide by 2 if it's an even number. So that's always a great way to start, especially if we're not quite sure where to start. So we have 24, and we have half of 36 is 18. Oh, I'm left with 2 more even numbers. So I can continue to divide by 2 until I'm completely simplified. So again, I'm going to come down here. Half of 24 is 12. Half of 18 is 9. These aren't even numbers anymore, but they're So I get down to 4/3. Okay? You might also write this as 1 1/3. If you're using your calculator, we can start from the very beginning and push your fraction button, put in 3/4, and then divide by, and put your fraction button again, and put in your 9/16. So you can actually do everything from the very beginning, and you don't have to change anything except for maybe, well, you actually don't even need to change to improper fractions. You can put the mixed number in. So you can do it from the very beginning, but we want to practice with both methods. So go ahead and pause, try the next two, and then see how you do when you push play again. For number 5, we have 3/4, which is already a proper fraction. We're going to change our division to multiplication. And notice, 9 is by itself. So remember how we said 9/1 is how you can change 9/1 to a fraction. So now I'm going to take the reciprocal of 9/1, and that will be 1/9. Now I can multiply numerator by numerator and denominator by denominator. And they are both divisible by 3. So I'm going to divide by 3. And I wind up with 1/12. For the last one, we have a mixed number. So I do want to switch that. We also have a whole number. So I want to make that into a fraction. So now I have 14/1. I'm going to change my division sign to a multiplication sign. And, well, I don't know what to do yet, so let's do some work ahead of time. Here's 14/1 divided by 4 1/5. If I change that to an improper fraction, that's 5 times 4, which is 20, plus 1. So 21/5. I always keep the same denominators. I'm talking about fifths. So my reciprocal would be 5 divided by 21. Okay? Again, now I have a multiplication problem, so I can do numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. So 5 times 14, I'm thinking about doing 5 times 4, which is 20, and then 5 times 1, which is 5, I carry the 2, that's 70. In your denominator, you have 1 times 21. Okay? Now I know 21 is divisible by 3 and 7, and look at that, 70 is also divisible by 7. So I'm going to, if I'm not using my calculator, I'm trying to think of common factors that I can simplify this fraction by. So if I divide by 7, I'll get 10 in the numerator, 3 in the denominator, which is correct. And if you wanted to write it as 3 1/3, you can do that as well. Before you finish for the night, go ahead and go back over. Remember always to complete any problems that you didn't do in class. So look at what we did today in class, and then maybe choose a couple questions to do again, just so you're practicing. And then look at the notes from today. Do you understand what we did? Do you need a circle or star or anything, or maybe ask a question? So go back through your notes and see how you did. See you guys next time.